Our next speaker for today is Mr. Nishant Gupta, Head Marketing, Berger Paints India Limited, who will speak on building partnerships that resonate, sharing his insights from personal experiences and in FMCG sectors and to the paints. Mr. Nishant Gupta has over 17 years of experience in consumer goods industry across multiple sectors. He has worked in both traditional and new age businesses. He holds a bachelor's degree in engineering and has done his MBA from IIM Mumbai. Prior to his current stint, he has worked in companies like Marico and Urban Ladder. Welcome, Mr. Gupta.
Great. First of all, thank you to Bengal Chambers of Commerce for giving me an opportunity to present my perspective on this topic, influence of influencers, right? And specifically on this one, building partnership that resonates. My belief is that if you build a partnership that resonates, that will endure as well, right? And that's what I think I'm going to talk about in the next 20 minutes. If you look at the first thing, I think in the first session, the first slide, which I think Mr. Gaurav Dudeja had shared, was about Ganji Chodel, right? Do you remember Ganji Chodel? Is everybody awake? Yeah, great. So Ganji Chodel, right? Now, what was Ganji Chodel? That's the narrative today when we talk about influencers, right? That's the narrative. You build some social media campaign, and do a topical content, a social media campaign, and try and build brand awareness or advocacy through that, right? That's the narrative around influencers, and I'm sure that works. But what I'm going to present to you is a very different perspective, a perspective where probably we can leverage influencers which are more structural to the business and in a more long-term perspective, right? So what you will see is some examples that I will share from both offline as well as online businesses where they have used influencers to really build long-term business objectives. What is basically, how do you build an influencer network, right? Three basic steps. You need to identify a partner, right? Now, how do you do that? Basically, look at, when I'm thinking about a category, who are the people who I'm engaging with? Now, this could be a shop owner. This could be, for example, if you're thinking about, toothpaste, it could be a dentist. If you're thinking about paints, it could be a contractor. If you're thinking about, going to a place, you're looking at reviews on TripAdvisor. So these are all the people that you're possibly looking at. So you need to identify what kind of a partner you need to work with, right? Secondly, and I mean, it's easier said than done. Once you identify the partner, you need to figure out what's the right program, what's the right messaging, how do I engage, which is a win-win for both. It's very easy to create a program which is, it's very transactional or one time, but you need to create content or program which is long-term and it is a win-win for both, right? And the third thing which I keep talking about is that we need to build influencer partnerships which are long-term, consistent work on that, right? It's short-term does help in advocacy and awareness, but real benefits to the business start accruing when you have these relationships going at a long-term level. So here I come with my first example, first case study, which is from an FMCG industry. How many of you have gone to, for hair, cutting your hair, and you would have worn a cape on which L'Oreal is written? How many have experienced that, right? Where there is L'Oreal written on the cape that they put when you cut your hair. L'Oreal has run a brilliant influencer program with all the hairstylists, salon owners, and they've been doing it for ages, this program. But before I talk about the program, I want to first talk about what's the relationship that a hairstylist has with its consumer. Now, one would typically go to a hairstylist, a beautician, a salon at least once a month, right, for a haircut or some hairstyling and all. And in one sitting, you will be there with that person for 30 to 35 minutes minimum, right? And for those 30 to 35 minutes, you are actually his captive audience, really his captive audience. And what does he do in that? While he is cutting your hair, he will just seed in, sir, ये आपका बाल थोड़ा सफेद हो रहा है सर. सर ये बालों में ना आपका थोड़ा यहाँ पे थोड़ा ड्राइनेस आ रहा है. और मैम आपका ये skin में problem है. This is what he seeds in during that thing. And what happens? is that while you are interacting with him, you tend to see that person as a quasi dermatologist or a trichologist. Ki haan, isko sab pata hai. So the whole expert, you start to see him as more of an expert rather than just a person who's cutting my hair, right? And this is what L'Oreal felt. This is a great opportunity for us, for them to build a whole brand and a program around these influencers. So what did they do? What did they do, L'Oreal? I mean, a simplistic approach here could be that they could have gone and pitched the products to these salon owners, right? And made it very transactional. Please sell these products, right? But that probably would not have built what people call as influencer equity or relationship, a long-term relationship with those salon owners or the stylists, right? If you look at their program, it was a very, very holistic program. It had, if you see any program, when you look at influencer, it has to have educate and reward, and not only reward. So what they did, they would reach out to any stylist, the first thing that they will tell them about was, okay, what's the chemistry of hair? What's the chemistry of skin, right? What are the problems that your typical hair has? Or what are the problems that a skin thing has? And then they try and tell them about the treatments, right? Now, one would wonder, what's the value of telling a hairstylist about chemistry of hair or about products or about problems? The value is that when a stylist talks to his consumer, he can obviously talk in this language, right? Which builds credentials and expertise for that person. So they just don't go and pitch the products. They tell you about they tell you about regimens which are required to improve the quality, and then they go about treatments, right? So that's the way they have kind of educated, built them on their own side. So that's on the part of education. What do they do else? They have launched a complete, so what you can see is L'Oreal Paris. But when you go to a professional, right, or to a salon, what you will find is L'Oreal Professional. So they have launched a full series of products which are only available, which can be only used at a beauty parlor or a salon, right? That's what they have done. Now, great, they have launched something for the channel, but where is the innovation? I'll tell you where the innovation and where the big wow in this game is. I don't know how many of you wondered. I mean, my wife had gone for coloring her hair, right? And the stylist told her that, ma'am, ye color kar liya hai, this will stay with you for a year, but you cannot use regular shampoo now, or you cannot use a hair oil now. What you will have to use is this special product. I think a lot of people are nodding, right? This is what they do. So they'll say, kuch special product hai, and this product is not available in the market. This product is only available with me, right? And that's the L'Oreal Professional products they have. So how does the salon owner makes money in this? He basically starts selling these products, right? So imagine what's the wow. It's not only the product that they're using at the time of treatment or at coloring, but for one full year, they have kind of wedded the consumer with the L'Oreal Professional products, right? This is the power of how a strong influencer program has been built. They estimates suggest that they have right now reached out to 40,000 of such salons and hairstylists and beauticians. They have gone and talked and engaged with them, right? So fundamentally, if you see a great program, you identify what's the right influencer that you want to talk to, build a program which is just not based on monetary benefits. There has to be much more value, and value has to be what does the influencer get, and then kind of do it consistently over a period of time. I'm going to share another example, which is from the industry that I represent, paint industry, right? Now, paint industry, if you see, it's a relatively low frequency kind of an industry where people will get their house painted in, at least maybe once in 5 years, once in 6 years, right? So a category where there is a relatively low understanding. And so the consumer depends on a lot of influence, actually seeks out a lot of recommendations, right? And there are a host of influencers which are there. There are dealers, there are architects, there are interior designers. But I think the most important of all is your painter contractor, right? He's obviously seen as an expert. Not many consumers would know about the whole system, ki putti ke baad kaun sa primer lagna hai, fir kaun sa paint lagna hai. Yes, they may have a point of view on what kind of color I might want, but really the understanding of the product is relatively, and this is where the consumer sees contractor as an expert, right? Now, as Berger, what we could have done, we could have simply said, yes, we do run a reward program. for these contractors, right? There is definitely a monetary reward program that we run for contractors, but that would have made this very, very transactional. What, as Berger, what we have done is taken this one step ahead. In fact, two steps ahead. There is a whole component of educate, right? We started something called as I-Train centers. Now, I-Train centers are places where painters could come, right, and be there for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and they are basically taught everything about painting. It's just not about telling our products. It starts from where they can understand what kind of, wall surfaces are there, what kind of challenges are there, what are the right painting practices, and then we try and tell about our products, right? So it's much more than just selling our products. In fact, if you come to one of our I-Train centers, there is also training that we do about how can you grow your business, right? So imagine that's the kind of relationship that we are trying to build. Now, this is where, as I said, you have, and I'm very happy to share that, I think we started this in 2014-15, and till now we have at Berger trained more than 10 lakh painters, contractors through this initiative, right? So imagine we identified, yes, contractor is a core person who is a core influencer. Then we said, okay, we need to build a program which is monetary is important, but obviously what else apart from the monetary thing that we build? And then we have been doing it consistently. It's a very, very similar template. And now I'm possibly going to move to online examples, but the template stays same if you have to really build those enduring relationships. Moving from offline to online, right? I think there is one structural difference that we all need to understand when we look at any content, influencer partnerships, right? When you move from offline to online, you're basically moving from practitioners to content creators, right? That's the big difference. Now, who are practitioners? Practitioners were the contractors, practitioners were the stylists, practitioner is a dentist which Colgate engages with, or a shop owner or a dealer. So they are there, their credibility stays on account of the practice they are doing, right? On the vocation they have. In terms of online, it's more content creators, right? And as somebody said, with content creation, it's another media channel which is available to us, right? These content creators that we have, they have gained popularity, and obviously because they've been posting a certain content, we get credibility as well. But fundamentally viewed more as a media channel. But how can we leverage, and in fact a lot of companies are really using this as a media channel, but probably what I'm going to share is that how do we leverage this more than just as a media channel, more as something where it can really start to impact your business. So what do we have? This is a grid. I think this is only 10%, but this is the grid. If you go online today, you will find content on everything, on anything, right? From travel to health, to finance, to pets, to alcohol, to how to date a girl. Everything is available, right? And targeted toward men, women, children, everything. So you have content everywhere. And somebody was saying that we keep scrolling, right? We keep scrolling, and at one point in time, you're probably following, if not 15, 20 content guys, right? Maybe somebody you're following more religiously, somebody you're following maybe temporarily, but you're following 15 to 20 content creators. So it's a big challenge for marketers, which guy to pick, right? Because everybody's getting views. So that's one big challenge. And again, selection of the right partner, as I said, that was in offline, same holds true in online. Selection of the right partner is very, very important, right? And as I said, we'll give you examples of how people have gone about it. I think this is something which I've alluded earlier also. When you look at any in online influencers or online content creators, there is model 1, which is the current narrative, where you leverage a content creator to create awareness, engagement, right? Again, somehow this Ganji Chodel is not going from my mind. So that Ganji Chodel, right? You use that to create awareness for Nika or some engagement, right? Or what Mahindra did, right? So you do short, topical, creative campaigns and leverage influencers or content creators as media channels and try and ramp up my brand. So advocacy, short-term engagement, short-term awareness, definitely there is much scope. But the second model, which I think I have two clear examples where influencer is actually at the core of the business, right? How it actually adds you and measurably adds to your top line and to your bottom line, right? The first one which I want to talk about is Myntra Studio. I'm sure all of you have shopped from Myntra. Have you? Can I show of hands? How many of you shop from Myntra? Great. I see all the young ones shopping from Myntra. The rest are possibly going to maybe Louis Phillips or somebody to buy, right? Now, what does Myntra do? Myntra said that Myntra had a business problem, that today there was Myntra, there was Ajio, and then there is Amazon fashion, there is Flipkart fashion, and everybody started to have very similar kind of assortment, right? It's very easy to create a category. Everybody can create the same assortment, build in the brands on board, and you have the assortment. And they wanted to really differentiate themselves, right? And so thought, how can we do that differently? So they said, can we leverage fashion influencers? Now, before I get into the model, let me talk about what's the relationship of the fashion influencer with this Gen Z consumer, right? Now, I would typically go to a shop and buy clothes from there, right? So I will go to a trial room, try 10 clothes and then buy 2 clothes, right? But that doesn't work with Gen Z audience. They are not going to any shop. What they're doing is constantly looking, as I said, people are scrolling, they're constantly looking at inspirations, right? So they're following a lot of these fashion influencers, mini celebs for fashion choices. What's the new, what's trending, what's interesting, what will go with what is that coordinated set that I can wear, right? So they keep looking at these kind of inspirations, right? Now, Myntra said, fine, this is great. Now, can I leverage that? So these fashion influencers provide inspiration. What they said, let me create a property, and this is in fact embedded in their app, something called as Myntra Studio, where you have fashion influencers on board their app, right? Now, what does fundamentally the model is? The model is that Myntra invites fashion influencers to come and onboard. And if you see this lady in the image, it comes across like an Instagram scroll. So that any fashion influencer can come and pick up products from the Myntra catalog, put it on, see how it looks, and then kind of post it on Myntra. They have some 15,000 such fashion influencers on board, right? Now, she posted, what you see on the bottom right is that there is also a small place where they kind of put in icon saying, this is what she's wearing and this is the price, right? So consumers can actually buy. So what's the consumer behavior now? The consumer behavior is that I'm looking for inspirations. I start scrolling on Myntra Studio where there are some fashion influencers, and they have already, the kind of fashion influencer that I am following is already posted on his handle that, I've just recently put something on Myntra. Then I come to Myntra, I start scrolling, I find this fashion influencer, and I'm scrolling like an Instagram. We all scroll all the time, right? And I find this something very interesting. And then I go, okay, wow, this is looking nice. This is good to my body type. This is coordinated. This is trendy. And then I go and actually buy from there, right? This is where, if you see, this is where fashion influencers are now core to the business. It's not fundamentally saying, okay, what they could have easily done is maybe engage with few fashion influencers, what maybe Nykaa did, and do a Ganji Chodel, right? But they've not done that. They've brought it back into their business model. And I think this is where Myntra kind of differentiates itself, right? So influencers, but structurally part of the business, not really the other one. The second example that I want to talk about, again, a D2C brand. How many of you are aware of this brand called as Mamaearth? Hansa Consumer, they just went for the IPO, right? Mamaearth. So Mamaearth came up with this whole series of products which was targeted towards kids, right? And they came with products targeted towards kids, and these were basically paraben-free, organic platform and everything. And being a D2C brand, what their challenge was that, we don't want to do traditional marketing. So how should we go and talk to our consumer? How should we go and market this? And market in a way that it kind of resonates. So they found that a lot of these millennial moms, they are actually today, if you look at the whole, because of the setup, they are now actually reading a lot online about parenting, about right ways to take care of the kids. They are reading a lot about this, right? What are the right products? How do I care of my kids? If my kid throws tantrum, what should I do? All of that. So it's today parenting is also second hand in some sense, right? Because fundamentally you're drawing a lot from these influencers, and you said, okay, ye bolta hai to main aise karti hu. So they felt that if these millennial moms, which is their core TG, right? Because that was the person who was online and this brand was also online. They felt with this millennial moms could be a great brand fit, right? And what they did, and in fact they are doing it till now, is that through these millennial moms, so you this honest mom, scary mummy, all these 500, 600 bloggers, they got to start to seed in content with through these on specifically on what is the right products to use for your kids, what's the right product to use for the thing, and then slowly started seeding in, you know, about Mama Earth products. And the part is that yes, while they have moved to the traditional advertising on this, but they still continue to work and engage with them. So structurally, a brand which is an online D2C brand targeted towards millennial moms and their kids, they have built a very strong relationship with these mom bloggers and how they are trying to build business. Basically, this brand was built from scratch through millennial moms. So there is a clear ROI that one can see, right? So again, an example where once you get the right, you know your brand task, you got the right influencer on board, you build the right content and the program strategy and do it consistently, it starts to give returns, actual measurable business returns, right? So that's what I think. Somebody, you have to find the right fit and consistency. I think what generally gets passed is, yes, I have a great influencer, great story, but I think finding the right guy, which is the right fit in terms of the audience and in terms of my communication, and doing it consistently is really the key to building strong influencer partnerships. That's what I had to say. So thank you. And I think I have done exactly on time.
Thank you so much.